Hello, my name is Jenny Paola Ardila, and today I will go talk about how to teach English. We as a teachers have to know what is the correct way to teach the four skills in our students: the listening, the writing, speaking, and the reading. Now, the contents, as I said before, are the four skills. So, before I have to explain a big difference that are in the four skills. There are two skills that are for the productive process in our students, and the other two skills are for the receptive. So, listening and reading are the receptive skills, and writing and speaking are the productive skills. And we will explain the four skills in different ways, the suggestions, and finally I have to do a conclusion about the four skills and how we as a teacher have to teach them. So let's start with the receptive skills. The first skill is the listening, and I have to say that there are two kind of listening. The first is the extensive listening, and the second is the intensive listening. So the extensive listening is where a teacher encourages students to choose to themselves the listening to, and it shows how the grammar and the vocabulary go together to make the communicative message. So this listening, this extensive listening is more for like a pleasure for the students, and it's help to improve the listening fluency. The second kind of listening is the intensive listening. It is more used on a classroom or a language laboratory, and it is intensive and is focused in on a brief listening and exercise, and also on a listening purpose. It focuses the students' attention on language, and it's more um, for the classrooms, as I said, and it capture the attention of the language in the students. I have to say that the listening is different for the different level of the students, but the principal objective as a teacher is encourage students to listen as often and as much as possible. So we have to have students prepared to listen, and we have to say them that once may not be enough. They have to listen in different times, in different ways, and different kinds of listening. We have to we use different tools, for example the music, the news in the TV, on the TV, the news on radio, the programs, TV shows, etc., conversations, dialogues between different persons, and all of them are the material for the listening. So with this, we as a teacher about them to listen the material, we have to assign a task for the students for they have a result with this listening. So there are different listening suggestions like jigsaw listening, mental talking, music and sound effects for different sounds, and news and radio, as I said, and the poetry. So in this task we have to the student have to complete a text with the listening, or they have to organize a text that they are listening before. Other receptive skill is the reading, and one of the reasons as students read is because they want to be able to read different tests, different academic tests for their careers in English tests, and so they have to do this for these careers, or simply because it's a pleasure. It's insane that the listening skills is an extensive kind of reading or an intensive kind of reading. So a big why is useful reading? So the reading present the text present a structure. So this structure is useful for the students to now to see the correct form, to the punctuation, to the spelling, to the writing, and then it have a new vocabulary and show the structure, the English form, the different terms. So it's useful in this way. As a teacher, have to choose the correct text for our students in according to the level. Is a low level or is a high level. For the beginners, is a suggestion shows a timetable, an instruction, a menus. For the high level is good choose a text with authentic English, so academic text or different texts like this. We will talk about the productive skill. The first skill is the speaking, and the reason of the speaking is because speaking activities like students to practice situations that then they will face in a real life. In this kind of activity, the teacher feedback is very essential so learners can relate their progress. These spaces are important because the more the student practice using all the knowledge, the more the language is automatized. So about this speaking sequences, the first, the one of the first exercise that we as a teacher have to do is the photography competition. With this tool, with this activity, learners design criteria for making a choice, and students activate all language they know to talk about something. Also, we have to work with role plays when students get a chance for real life rehearsal, seeing, teaching, speaking, how they themselves would comfort in such a situation. Allow them to express freely. The other way is the portrait and interview. Activate previous knowledge. This acts as a rehearsal for the interview. Is from the whole class. The teacher will not have a lot of language. Use the command and can work on the question or any of the answers that come out in appropriate. Finally, with the speaking are improved, we have to work with a discussion, a spontaneous discussion. It has the great advantage of provoking fluent language use. It engages the magic moment, for instance, magic that during a discussion phase and a student suddenly says something related. So we as a teacher have to identify this magic moment when our students are speaking and no cut out the speaking, but go and some speaking suggestions for teacher is use the information gap activities, telling stories, for telling about favorite objects, get a mirroring and greeting service, talk about famous people, do a student presentation, do a boundary bat, or speak about moral dilemmas. So it's more talk about a topic that are interesting for our students, so that we know that they speak because it's interesting, because they know about the topic. It's important, and also it's important how to correct the activities of speaking. So the teacher have to do a little to be more receptive with the feedback, and use the standard approach, the complement correction and complement, for correct the students. Take the time into account. It's important to be sensitive, and ask the students questions about the speakings. We have to take in account not to destroy the conversation flow, is the not destroy the magical moment of our students in conversations. Now the last skill is the reading. So there are different reasons to teach our students to read, and I have to explain two reasons, and that's reading for learning, and the second is reading for reading. So reading for learning is where language is focused. It's a reinforcement to a student. The students have to practice that they learned before. And reading for reading is where the whole test is the focus. Develop student skills as a readers. Develop these structures as a good reading. So the routine issues, first I have to take in account the genre that the students have to read, and they have to know the process to reading. First we have to planning, drafting, reviewing, and finally editing. As the other three skills, the listening, the speaking, and the reading, there are a sequences, and it is according to the level of our students. So first, when the students are beginners, we have to start with the postcards that are a simple or a simple test, and then we have to work with emails, then with interviews, and finally when the students are in is an advantage level, we have to use the a report, right? Reading a report. There are different suggestions for the teacher. There are, for example, the instant greeting, and use music and picture. What I said with that, the music and the pictures are the motivation for the students reading. For example, you choose a pictures, and you can say to our students that about this picture reading a poem, or reading a song, or reading simple descriptions, and it is the first step. See, motivate the reading with this kind of tools. We have to assign reading newspaper, magazines, brochures, guides, poetry, and also there are different activities that needs not of for one student. For example, the collaborative reading, a lot of students can reading about the same topic and get together all ideas about how to reaching out to other and reaching other genres. Are also other suggestions of with for the teacher. Finally, as I said with the speaking, the correcting, the correction, the evaluation, the assessment as a teacher have an importance because this influence the progress and the improve with the students. So teacher has to accurate and truthful. Teacher have to be sensitive and sympathetic, concentrate on a particular aspect, cook down on the correction. For example, is the correct way to correct and reading test is with symbols as S for spelling, WO for word order, SS for sentence structure, M for missing words and completing ideas. So it's enough with these symbols and is the correct way with don't frustrate the students to reading in other time and another there are all the skills and the suggestion for teach this skill fairly. In a conclusion, we have to take in account the level of our students, what tool, what activities we assigned for this level. Not is the same that the beginners or the intermediate or the high level. The advantage learners we have to take in account and also the form to correct these activities that they do. For example, the with the case with the speaking or the reading, and also we have to be motivation for our students, motivated all the time about listening, and not only in the classroom, but if in the house or in other place, and also read in different place and different genres. So it is all, and I hope that is a good help for you as a teacher, and it was a good review about how to teach the four skills.